What if I told you that some of the people you respect the most are actually holding you back? Today, we're diving deep into ancient Stoic wisdom to expose 9 types of people who are secretly draining your energy, corrupting your mindset, and keeping you from reaching your true potential. If you've ever felt stuck, manipulated, or just exhausted by certain relationships, this video is going to open your eyes. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, let me be crystal clear. This isn't about hate or judgment. This is about protecting your mental space and energy. The Stoics taught us that the company we keep shapes who we become. And trust me, after researching this topic for months and connecting it with modern psychology, what I'm about to share will change how you view relationships forever. Number 1, the chronic complainer. These people are everywhere, and at first they seem harmless. They'll tell you about their terrible day, their awful job, their unfair life. But here's what's really happening. They're not just venting, they're programming your mind to see the world through their negative lens. The ancient Stoics, particularly Epictetus, warned about these energy vampires. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The chronic complainer has chosen to react to everything with negativity, and they want you to join their pity party. What makes them particularly dangerous is their ability to disguise toxicity as friendship. They'll call you for support, but really, they're just looking for an audience. They don't want solutions. They want validation for their victim mentality. Here's the science behind it. Studies show that negative attitudes are contagious. When you spend time with complainers, your brain's neural networks actually start mirroring their patterns. It's like catching a cold, but instead of sneezing, you're catching their destructive mindset. Look at how they handle challenges. Everything is someone else's fault. The weather, the government, their boss, their partner, never themselves. This directly contradicts the Stoic principle of personal responsibility, an internal locus of control. What's even more insidious is how they react when something good happens to you. Watch carefully. They'll either downplay your success or immediately point out potential problems. They can't stand to see others rise above their self-imposed limitations. The solution? Set boundaries. You don't need to cut them off completely, but limit your exposure. When they start complaining, redirect the conversation to solutions. If they resist, that tells you everything you need to know about their true intentions. Remember Marcus Aurelius's words, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Don't let chronic complainers pollute your mental space with their toxic waste. Number 2, the fake guru. Let's talk about one of the most dangerous characters in today's social media landscape, the fake guru. You know exactly who I'm talking about. They're flooding your feed with quotes they didn't write, wisdom they haven't earned, and lifestyle photos that scream, "I've made it." But here's the truth. They're selling you a dream while living in a carefully constructed illusion. The ancient Stoics, particularly Seneca, warned about these types. He said, "People who parade their vices and create a false impression by display live a life of wretchedness." Today's fake gurus are exactly what Seneca was talking about. They're not teaching from experience. They're teaching from a script they bought in someone else's course about how to sell courses. What makes them truly dangerous is their ability to prey on your deepest insecurities and desires. They've mastered the art of the pain point. They'll tell you you're not successful enough, not motivated enough, not crushing it enough. Then, conveniently, they'll offer you the solution, usually in the form of a $997 course that's on sale for $197 for the next 24 hours only. Sound familiar? Let's break down their playbook. First, they show you the mansion, rented for the photo shoot, then the exotic car, also rented, and finally, the laptop on the beach lifestyle, carefully staged. They create a gap between where you are and where they claim to be. But here's what they don't show you: the credit card debt, the fake followers, and the desperate scramble to maintain the illusion. The most ironic part? These fake gurus completely contradict the fundamental principles of Stoicism. While Marcus Aurelius taught us to love the humble things, these charlatans promote endless materialism. While Epictetus emphasized internal growth, they're selling external validation. They're the anti-Stoics, wrapped in Stoic packaging. Watch how they handle criticism or being called out. A true teacher welcomes questioning and debate. These fake gurus, they delete comments, block critics, and surround themselves with paid yes men. They can't handle scrutiny because their entire empire is built on sand. Any real investigation would make their house of cards collapse. Here's the real damage they do. They make you doubt your own path. While you're working hard, building something real, they're showing you shortcuts and hacks that don't exist. They make honest work seem foolish and get-rich-quick schemes seem legitimate. They're not just stealing your money, they're stealing your belief in authentic growth. The solution? Apply the Stoic principle of rational assessment. Ask yourself, does this person's teaching align with timeless wisdom? Are they selling solutions or selling dreams? Do they practice what they preach when the cameras are off? Remember what Epictetus said, don't just say you've read books, show that through them you have learned to think better. The real gurus are too busy doing the work to tell you how guru-like they are. But the fake guru isn't working alone. Often, they're enabled by our next character, the passive aggressor. This person is like a snake in the grass, and once you learn to spot them, you'll never fall for their tricks again. Number 3, the passive aggressor. Have you ever met someone who can deliver a devastating insult wrapped in a sweet smile? That's our next character, the passive aggressor. These people are masters of psychological warfare, experts at making you feel guilty, inadequate, or crazy while maintaining plausible deniability. I'm just trying to help, they say, while twisting the knife they just planted in your back. Let's expose their tactics, because once you see them, you can't unsee them. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus had these people's number when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters." The passive aggressor knows this too well. They're counting on your response. They plant seeds of doubt and watch them grow into forests of anxiety. Their weapon of choice? Subtle jabs disguised as concern. "Oh, you're wearing that? How brave of you." Or, "I wish I could be as carefree as you about my career." What makes them especially toxic is their ability to make you doubt your own reality. In modern psychology, we call this gaslighting. When you confront them about their behavior, they'll act shocked and hurt. "You're so sensitive," they'll say, or "I was just joking." The Stoics taught us to seek truth, but these people actively work to distort it, creating a fog of confusion around their actions. Their arsenal is vast and insidious. They'll give backhanded compliments, make subtle digs, and use sarcasm as a shield. They'll gossip about you to others while acting like your best friend to your face. In meetings, they'll undermine your ideas with a subtle eye roll or a quiet sigh. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and each cut is designed to be so small that complaining about it makes you look petty. The science behind this behavior is fascinating. Studies show that passive-aggressive people often learned this behavior as a survival mechanism in environments where direct confrontation was dangerous or forbidden. But here's the thing. Understanding their psychology doesn't mean you have to accept their behavior. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Watch their patterns carefully. They love to play the victim when confronted, use silent treatment as punishment, and procrastinate on commitments as a way to express anger. They'll say fine when they're clearly not fine, make promises they never intend to keep, and spread rumors while maintaining an innocent facade. They're emotional snipers, taking shots from positions of perfect deniability. The real damage comes from long-term exposure. Over time, dealing with passive aggressors can make you hypervigilant, always looking for hidden meanings in innocent comments. You start second-guessing yourself, walking on eggshells, and losing trust in your own judgment. This is exactly what they want, to keep you off balance and under their control. The Stoic solution? First, recognize their behavior for what it is, a form of cowardice. As Seneca said, "He who does not show signs of his own existence is a coward and a fugitive." Then respond with direct communication. When they make a passive-aggressive comment, calmly ask them to explain what they mean. "I'm not sure I understand. Could you clarify that?" Watch how quickly they backpedal when forced into the light of direct conversation. Speaking of people who don't deliver on their words, let's talk about our next character, the endless promise maker. You know, that person who's full of big talk but somehow never follows through. Their promises are like clouds, impressive to look at but completely insubstantial. Number 4. The endless promise maker. Let me introduce you to the person whose favorite phrase is, "Trust me, it's going to be huge." The endless promise maker is like a master illusionist. They paint beautiful pictures of future success, collaboration, and opportunities. They're always on the verge of something big, always about to close that massive deal, always just one step away from changing your life. Spoiler alert, that step never comes. Epictetus warned us about these types when he said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." The promise maker does exactly the opposite. They're all talk and no action. They're the person who's definitely going to start that business, write that book, or make that introduction tomorrow, always tomorrow. They've turned procrastination into an art form and empty promises into a lifestyle. What makes them particularly dangerous is their enthusiasm. It's contagious. They speak with such conviction that you can't help but get excited. They'll describe opportunities in vivid detail, make you feel like you're already part of their future success, and even start planning next steps. The problem? They're not selling reality. They're selling dopamine hits. Here's their typical pattern. First comes the big vision. They'll tell you about an amazing opportunity or a game-changing project. Then come the promises, specific commitments about what they'll do and when. Next, the deadlines start slipping. Excuses pile up, each more creative than the last. Finally, they ghost you until they need something else. But here's the crazy part. They'll come back months later with a new, incredible opportunity, as if nothing happened. The psychology behind this behavior is fascinating. These people often believe their own hype. They confuse planning with action, intention with completion. When they're making promises, they're getting the same dopamine hit they would get from actually achieving the goal. It's like they're living in a perpetual state of false achievement, getting high on their own supply of empty promises. Look at how they handle their past failed promises. They'll either act like they never made them, minimize their importance, or worse, blame external circumstances, or even you for why things didn't work out. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The promise maker wastes everyone's time arguing about what they're going to do instead of doing it. The real cost isn't just wasted time, it's missed opportunities. While you're waiting for them to follow through, you could have been pursuing real opportunities with reliable people. They're like black holes of potential, sucking in energy, enthusiasm, and resources while giving nothing tangible in return. And just like a real black hole, their gravitational pull of charisma makes them hard to escape. The Stoic approach to dealing with promise makers? Focus on actions, not words. As Seneca advised, we should not, like sheep, follow the herd of creatures in front of us, making our way where others go, not where we ought to go. Don't judge them by their intentions, judge them by their track record. And remember, someone who's really going to change your life probably won't need to keep promising it. But at least the promise maker's intentions might be good, even if their follow-through is terrible. Our next character is far more insidious, the moral superiority complex. These people don't just think they're better than you, they've turned their perceived superiority into a weapon. Number 5, the moral superiority complex. These individuals operate from a self-constructed pedestal of moral authority. They don't just disagree with others, they believe they're ethically superior. Every conversation becomes a judgment, every interaction a chance to demonstrate their elevated moral standing. Seneca specifically addressed this mindset when he wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." The irony is that those with moral superiority complexes often forget this basic principle, replacing kindness with condemnation. What makes them particularly toxic is their ability to twist virtue into a weapon. They don't just hold beliefs, they weaponize them. Every choice you make, from what you eat to how you spend your money, becomes an opportunity for them to showcase their supposed moral elevation. The psychology here is fascinating. Research shows this behavior often stems from a deep-seated insecurity. By constantly judging others, They create an illusion of moral perfection that protects them from facing their own flaws and contradictions. Watch how they handle disagreement. Instead of engaging in genuine dialogue, they dismiss opposing viewpoints as morally inferior. Marcus Aurelius warned against this when he said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Yet these individuals make enemies of everyone who thinks differently. Their impact on your growth is subtle but severe. They create an atmosphere of constant judgment where authentic self-expression becomes impossible. You'll find yourself self-censoring, walking on eggshells, and second-guessing your own moral compass. The solution requires a delicate balance. Epictetus taught us to examine our own judgments first. When dealing with these people, acknowledge their perspective, but don't accept their authority over your moral choices. Your values are yours to determine, not theirs to dictate. Most importantly, remember that true virtue, as the Stoics taught, is demonstrated through actions, not proclamations. The truly ethical person uplifts others through example, not through condemnation. Number 6. The emotional manipulator. Of all the toxic personalities we've covered, this one might be the most dangerous. Emotional manipulators are masters of psychological warfare, using your own emotions as weapons against you. They play chess while others play checkers, always thinking several moves ahead in their manipulation game. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned us about this when he said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Emotional manipulators seek to strip away this freedom by becoming the master of your emotional responses. They study your triggers, vulnerabilities, and pressure points with scientific precision. Their toolkit is vast and sophisticated. Guilt-tripping, gaslighting, love-bombing, selective memory, and emotional blackmail are just a few of their favorite tactics. They'll make grand gestures of affection one day, then withdraw completely the next, keeping you in a constant state of emotional vertigo. Here's the disturbing psychology behind it. They exploit a fundamental human need for consistency and connection. When they alternate between praise and criticism, your brain produces a cocktail of chemicals similar to addiction. You literally become chemically dependent on their approval. Notice their pattern with boundaries. Every time you set one, they'll find a creative way to violate it while making you feel like you're the unreasonable one. They're experts at turning the tables, transforming themselves into the victim, even when they're clearly the aggressor. The real damage happens to your self-trust. Over time, you start doubting your own perceptions, emotions, and memories. They'll rewrite history so skillfully that you'll question your own sanity. As Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and they're trying to dye yours with self-doubt. Breaking free requires a return to Stoic principles. Start documenting everything. Keep a record of interactions, promises, and incidents. Trust your gut feelings. When they say you're too sensitive or you're imagining things, remember that gaslighting thrives in the absence of evidence. The path to liberation starts with reclaiming your emotional sovereignty. As Seneca advised, the greatest power we have is the power of choice. Choose to trust your instincts. Choose to validate your own experiences. Choose to break free from their emotional puppetry. Number 7. The responsibility dodger. You know this person. Everything is always someone else's fault. They live in a perpetual state of blamelessness, floating through life like a leaf in the wind, taking credit for successes but mysteriously absent when things go wrong. They're professional victims with a PhD in excuse-making. Epictetus addressed this mindset directly when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters." The responsibility dodger has perfected the art of not responding at all, except to point fingers. Their favorite phrase, "It's not my fault." What makes them particularly toxic is their ability to create chaos while maintaining plausible deniability. They'll commit to projects, relationships, and obligations with enthusiastic promises, then systematically avoid delivering while crafting elaborate explanations for their failures. The psychology here is revealing. Research shows that chronic responsibility avoidance often masks deep-seated fears of inadequacy. By never truly owning their actions, they never have to face the possibility of genuine failure. It's a defensive mechanism that becomes a lifestyle. Watch their behavior in group settings. They're experts at the subtle art of task dodging. When responsibilities are being assigned, they'll either be mysteriously busy, suggest someone else who'd be perfect for the role, or accept the task with zero intention of completing it. The real damage comes from their impact on team dynamics and personal relationships. Like a black hole of accountability, they create a vacuum that others must fill. Someone always has to pick up their slack, clean up their messes, and finish what they've abandoned. Marcus Aurelius would have recognized this type immediately. He wrote, "Accept responsibility for your life. Know that it is you who will get you where you want to go, no one else." The responsibility dodger lives in direct opposition to this principle, creating a web of dependence and frustration. The solution? Stop being their safety net. Let their excuses fall flat. When they fail to deliver, let them face the consequences. Don't rescue them. Don't cover for them, and most importantly, don't accept their elaborate explanations for why nothing is ever their fault. As the Stoics taught us, personal responsibility isn't just about accountability, it's about power. The power to shape your own destiny. Number 8, the toxic positivity preacher. At first glance, they seem like a beacon of light, always smiling, eternally optimistic, floating above life's problems with enviable ease. But look closer. Their relentless positivity isn't enlightenment. It's a form of denial that can be just as damaging as outright negativity. The Stoics understood the difference between true resilience and toxic positivity. As Seneca noted, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. The toxic positivity preacher dismisses this truth, replacing genuine human experience with a forced smile and an endless stream of inspirational quotes. Their signature move? Good vibes only. They'll shut down any expression of legitimate suffering or struggle with spiritual bypassing. Feeling depressed? Just choose happiness. Experiencing grief? Everything happens for a reason. Lost your job? It's all part of a greater plan. Modern psychology recognizes this as emotional invalidation. By denying the full spectrum of human emotion, they create an environment where authentic expression becomes impossible. It's like emotional pressure cooking, suppressing negative feelings until they explode. The real damage occurs in how they handle others' pain. They're not just avoiding their own emotions. They're actively shaming others for having normal human reactions. Their constant push for positive vibes becomes a form of gaslighting, making people question their right to feel anything but happiness. What makes them particularly insidious is their moral crusade against negativity. They weaponize positivity, using it as a shield against accountability and a sword against authenticity. Any criticism or concern is dismissed as negative energy that needs to be cleansed. True Stoicism teaches us to face reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. Marcus Aurelius didn't say ignore the obstacle. He said the obstacle is the way. The toxic positivity preacher's approach isn't wisdom. It's avoidance dressed up as enlightenment. The solution? Embrace what the Stoics really taught. Accept the full range of human experience. Feel your feelings. Honor your struggles. Remember that resilience isn't about forcing a smile. It's about finding strength in the acknowledgement of both light and shadow. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you use it that matters. Number 9, the backstabbing friend. The most dangerous person on our list hides behind a mask of friendship. They smile to your face while quietly undermining you behind your back. In Stoic philosophy, Seneca specifically warned about false friends, saying they're more dangerous than open enemies. What makes them particularly insidious is their method of operation. They collect information about you under the guise of intimacy and trust, then strategically use it to elevate their social position or diminish yours. They're masters of plausible deniability. The psychology behind this behavior often stems from deep-seated insecurity and a zero-sum mentality. They believe that your success somehow diminishes their own worth, leading them to engage in subtle sabotage while maintaining a friendly facade. Here's what to watch for: inconsistencies between their public and private behavior, strategic information leaks that always seem to trace back to them, and the strange way your opportunities seem to disappear whenever they learn about them first. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This wisdom is particularly relevant here. Don't fall into the trap of becoming what you despise by seeking revenge or playing their game. Modern research shows that dealing with two-faced friends triggers the same brain regions as physical pain. This explains why betrayal from a trusted friend hurts more than opposition from a known enemy. Our brains process social pain similarly to physical trauma. The solution isn't paranoia, but strategic distance and information control. Practice selective sharing, watch how they treat others in your circle, and pay attention to patterns rather than isolated incidents. A true friend's actions align with their words. As Epictetus advised, be careful whom you associate with. Your reputation, opportunities, and peace of mind are too valuable to risk on someone who treats loyalty as a convenience rather than a principle. Now that you can identify these people, you might be feeling overwhelmed. You might be realizing that some of your closest relationships fall into these categories. This is normal. The next section will show you exactly how to handle each situation. Remember, the goal isn't to isolate yourself. It's to cultivate relationships that lift you up, challenge you to grow, and respect your boundaries. The Stoics weren't hermits. They were active participants in society. They just chose their company wisely. If this video resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Drop a comment below telling me which type of person you've dealt with. Let's start a conversation about this. And remember, protecting your mental space isn't selfish. It's necessary for growth. See you in the next video.